Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 155 of LostinTranslationmon. I'm May.
And I'm Jay.
And this time we watch The Dark Side of Brightland.
Or Deed or Levi, the hellish generals distributil.
Wow, that was an event. And we also watched The Battle of the Young Generals.
Or Tiki vs. Yi, Showdown of the Boys Generals.
This title just annoys me, I don't know. Kirahara is also there, and he's actually quite active in this episode.
Yeah, but they're not the main players, because you, for no reason picks Taiki.
And it's super, everything is Kirahara's idea in the episode anyway, basically. I know, I feel like Kirahara did it good.
For once?
For once. And we also watched Beelzemon's Revenge.
Or Beelzemon, Fade into Legs.
Wow. So, there's no DigiNews or LostinTranslationmon this week.
Nothing?
Nothing. And, well, besides, various blog posts that I write each week, every couple of days. And that's for our blog. And we also are on Spotify podcasts now. But that's, nothing huge.
Does that mean that Digimon is finally dead?
What do you mean? No. No, oh no, there's a pop-up shop. I just don't discuss all the news because I do the With the Will podcast, which is all news-based. But there's a pop-up shop in October.
That's such good news that I don't have to hear about it in detail.
Yeah, I only ever talk about it if there's something, big. So we can just move straight on to Obnoxious Synopsis. The first episode that we'll be watching this week is called The Dark Side of Brightland, or Dead or Alive, the Hellish General's Decisive Battle. What do you think will happen in this episode?
So the last thing that happens was they had the Leomon who had the two sides, and I guess I would think that when that sort of weird darkness body takes over, maybe the land itself changes a little bit to reflect that. That'd be interesting at least, which means it's not going to happen.
Do you remember what happened at the end of the last
episode?
episode?
That's right, they got dunked down the hole. That's right. Okay, so
they went to hell.
Right, okay. So it was implied strongly in the Japanese one that there was some kind of Digimon to fight down there. Maybe not. Man, I don't know what's going to be down there. It's a weird digital zone that I wasn't expecting, because that's not what they showed the first time, which implies it is a different place. But they're going to fight Bluomon. Bleomon. How do I portmanteau that? Hold on.
Well, his name is Apollomon, so Apollomon.
No. Blue Polomon.
Okay.
Don't know. But the point is, they're going to beat him this episode so that next episode they can fight you and, what's his name? Gold Knightmon.
Suamon.
Yeah, I'm never going to remember that.
Yeah, that's fair. I just remember him as Damemon, basically. So, do you think anything will annoy you in this... Damn it. Do you think anything will annoy you in this episode?
Look, I just don't think this whole thing is interesting, so I'm going to be sitting there being really bored the whole time, and that's going to be enough.
So you don't think it'll be a good episode?
No, I don't.
What rating?
Probably a 3. I don't know, the whole thing just feels like there's no plan, right? You can feel when you're watching something that there is a plot, and there's a structure, and things interweave together, and there's pathos, and it's interesting, and it is very clear that in this season of Digimon, the fact that they're in all these different lands and fight one-on-one these generals is a crutch, so that they don't need to have an overarching story, so that in the middle of each thing they have to write a 2-episode structure of do fight, go somewhere else.
I mean, that's very much the formula that a lot of Cross Wars has, is do fight for 2 to 3 episodes and then leave.
Yeah, and I mean, at least in Adventure you could say there was the plot of we have to survive in a wilderness, so there was some tension to that. They don't talk about that in this at all, because in this universe the digital world is a civilization just as much as everywhere else. There's no survival element to it. In Frontier, there was a bad guy with an overarching plan. You sort of had to combat that as you went. Same with the Digimon Emperor. Same with a lot of the bad guys have these big plans that have multiple steps to them. The bad guy in this season sits on a chair and waits. His whole plan. I
mean, you could say that arguably the bad guy in Cross Wars differs from the other bad guys because this one is already in power. He already basically arguably has what he wants. There is some sort of plan that we find out is called D5, but he already is in power. He already has control of the kingdoms. At the start, I mean.
Sure, and it's distinctly uninteresting the way that they go about it. There are ways to do stories where the bad guys have already won and you're trying to fight up from the bottom, and there's discussions of getting power and, starting a rebellion, etc. And that you could do interesting stuff with emotional stories, but because all of the power comes from within these kids and they don't need any outside help really, they just and like, there have been individual small bits where you go, okay, that was nice, where we get one a particular friend. Like Puppetmon was a reasonable story within its episode.
Yeah, and we
But
had
as a
the
long-term
Lotmon.
thing, yeah, the Lotmon were all right. That was a good example.
That was
But
sad, especially when
most of
Cumon
these
said
things,
goodbye.
yeah, but then they never came up ever again.
Yeah.
And there's nothing lingers. No one learns anything, especially not Kiriha. Kiriha learns nothing.
So, filler or not
So
filler?
I can't. You can't help but feel like it's wasting our time.
Yeah.
Is the whole season filler? Yes.
Oh,
Is
no.
this episode filler within that season? No. It can't
Then
be.
the second episode that we're going to be watching is called The Battle of the Young Generals, or Taiki vs. You, Showdown of the Boy Generals.
Why
What
would
do you think
Taiki
will
want to
happen
fight me?
this episode? Ah.
What did I do? So it'll be they defeat Apollomon, and then the flag doesn't go away, and they go, "Hold on a minute, how come? But we beat the general, and it was haha. Apollomon wasn't even the death general; it was you." I don't know. That seems like a sort of garbage twist they would do that means nothing. And
So, do
then
you think anything will annoy
they
you?
fight, and yeah, because they can't. Yu's character is based on I think this is a video game, and they're going to be like rationally saying this is not a video game, and he's going to be a dumb child, and that's not a. You can't excuse your like second in command bad guy's decisions by he's a dumb kid. Or at least
Yeah,
if you
that's
do,
fair.
you have to set it up for longer than one episode.
Okay. Do you think this
Like
will be a
his
good
sister
episode?
is there, who presumably he likes.
Yeah.
No, I don't think any episode coming out anymore will be good. We can remove that question.
Oh, that's sad.
I've
So, what
lost faith
rating?
in the season entirely. 2. Because it's
Oh,
going to be
okay.
frustrating. We're right near the end, and Yu's character has had no development at all, and which means that we were still right at the beginning of, haha, this is a game and I'm going to win, which is exactly the same as Kiriha's mentality, except that he doesn't know what's going on. So it's less
But,
interesting, because at least Kiriha, like, knows it's real.
but this season's better than better than Frontier and Zero Two, right?
This is...
Yeah, sorry, I
it's
misspoke.
not better than Zero Two, no.
Oh, I feel like it's...
It is better than Frontier, because Frontier was bad all the way through. This at least had potential at some stage.
But I feel like
And
Zero
wasn't
Two, a
all
lot
about
of the
trains.
point, felt like it was trying to sell the most toys.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
to be fair, in this one, while this has all been boring, I can't say at any point it has been, like, actively bad, right? It's just been disinteresting. I think that when Cross Wars ends, I will forget it will ever existed.
Okay, so it's like... I mean, that was your first impression of Cross Wars, right? You said it was very okay. It was very generic, very mediocre.
No, I thought the first
very in the
episode was
middle.
unique.
I know, but you said that, like, you
I
felt
think
like
the character
the
designs
season...
was generic.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's right. So, filler or not filler?
But to be fair, I guess it's not.
Okay.
Like, they're fighting you, and it's a whole thing. They have to resolve this story. There's like 12 episodes left, aren't there?
In
It's like a
season
really short number of
2
episodes.
No, in
And it's
season 2 we
amazing,
only
'cause
have
this
a
you
couple
thing...
of episodes left. We finish,
No, I mean,
Oh no, through all of Cross Wars, no, we have like quite a few episodes left. We have
No.
the rest of this season, and then we have
Oh, it's
like
9.
20
We have 9
episodes, I
episodes
think?
left.
Of what season?
9 left of this story.
I think we've got.
Or are you telling me that Young Hunters Who Leapt Through Time is part of the same story?
No, I think we have got. Okay, so we'll be watching this week episodes 46 to 48, and this has 54 episodes. So yeah, we have we
Yeah,
have
so
8 more
there are
episodes.
9
But
left.
I thought they were less because I've already watched the
9.
episodes
Yep.
this week. Yeah, I already counted the ones I've already seen as.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I see what you mean. But then Young Hunters has quite a few episodes, I think. So yeah, Cross Wars will be going until
There's 25.
yeah, I'm just looking at it now. There's 75 episodes of including everything in Cross Wars, all the seasons.
79.
Looking at 75. Oh
The
yeah,
last one's
79.
called
You're
Get
right.
Fired
Yeah.
Up, Tagiru.
Yeah, I didn't click on end of part 3 because I'm looking at my calendar at the moment. So our end of
I'm
part
looking
3
at
episodes.
Crunchyroll's page.
Oh yeah, the end of part 3 episode will be on March 16th. So,
Finally!
Yeah.
Finally, I can die.
And Atmon's still not out in English. It's out in Portuguese now, but not in English. Anyway, so
So
the third
weird.
episode we're watching this week will be called Beelzemon's Revenge or Beelzemon Fade into Light. What will happen this episode?
So does Beelzemon have a character? I don't remember.
Yeah, he was Balmon, and he was like in this League of Warriors, and then Lilithmon took over and corrupted them and made them all turn against him, and he had to kill them all, and that made him feel bad, and then he became a
does he
bad
get
guy.
to kill Lilithmon?
Maybe she's still
Ooh,
relevant.
maybe he gets to kill Lilithmon. That'd be fun. Maybe.
But you love her. She's your favourite.
I mean, parts of her are my favorite.
Parts of her, yeah.
She is one of the most interesting characters on here, but she has been like really underwhelming as a character. Like when I saw that first GIF, I was like, "Oh, that's a weird way for this show to go." And the answer was she was a weird minor character who meant nothing in the scheme of things. You know who's a great character who I like understand
Blasmon?
everything about their motivation?
Blasmon?
Bagramon. What a fascinating bad guy.
His motivation is
I
I'm
like
evil.
Blasmon because of his voice.
Yeah, because he's
His
Bison or
motivation is
whatever.
I'm ahead, and I wish that wouldn't be the case anymore.
Yeah, I'm like I'm still waiting on growing
Yeah,
and
that
being
was
beautiful
great. It's got a
again.
good voice.
I lo-
Is that Wakamoto?
I can't. I know he's some fighting game characters, but he is my favorite. I love Blastmon. I love Lilithmon as well. I kind of just love their whole thing. Is they're kind of like they were up the top, but they kind of got screwed over, but they're still kind of grumpy. I like them. So, anything will annoy you in this episode?
I have to keep watching this. Like it's all blurring together. To be honest with you. Also, this title gives me nothing. To be fair.
Okay. So
I think what bothers me, I guess,
Yeah.
by the name of Beelzemon's Revenge, is the idea that Beelzemon had this thing boiling together. Like, he has a character moment, but they don't foreshadow it, they don't discuss it in any way. So this episode's gonna be the first time you're like, haha, finally I'll get my revenge, that thing I've obsessed about forever. And you'll go, when? When did that happen?
Right. I mean, I do see your point.
Good.
Kind
I'd
of.
like to think I made it well.
Yeah.
Well enough.
Good episode or not?
No. Again, we should remove that question. I don't think there will be good episodes anymore.
I think this episode's good.
I mean, you're allowed to think that. You're wrong, though.
What rating do you think you'll give it?
Like a 2. That's how I
Okay.
feel about Digimon.
And filler?
No, I guess.
Okay.
It's probably,
Any other
it's probably
predictions?
close if he's fighting Lilithmon. No, I would like to go on to talk about the show now.
Okay, well, I guess onto the show then.
Alright.
This time we'll be covering episode 46, 47, and 48 as one episode because it's basically just like almost in some way like a mini movie sort of thing. Like they fit very well together. And they sort of continue one after another. So we'll just discuss them as one episode.
Episode 46, you mean Junior Lou?
Please, why?
By the way, it makes so
Yeah?
much more sense in the Crunchyroll translation. Instead of dead or alive, i.e. like a bounty hunter going to find someone, capturing them dead or alive, it's life or death. As in, like, there are high stakes in this game. It's
Yeah.
life or death.
See, I don't, like, people have said that the Crunchyroll subtitles are actually really bad. That's why I'm actually opting to watch the fan subs, because apparently, like, the fan subs are better quality than the Crunchyroll subs. Apparently, like, a lot of people disagree with what the Crunchyroll subtitles say.
Well, in this case, this makes more sense.
Yeah. It might just be like a, not like a literal translation, but like a one they sort of played around with. Though I think Crunchyroll might actually do that quite a bit, where they sort of adapt, like it's not exact translations, they sort of have a bit of fun with it. Like for example, Digimon Adventure Try used the English dub names in the subtitles, which I will always find weird. Like they're saying Tailmon, but the subtitles say Guttermon. Anyway, so as episode 45 ended, they're in hell now, which is basically just under the digital world, and there's sort of different zones in the underworld. Taiki's feeling guilty because he couldn't evolve to Cross 7 because he hesitated. In the dub, there's some added dialogue of Taiki being pretty down on himself and Kiraha saying, well, at least we finally agree on something, which is awful and defeats the purpose of any character development that Kiraha had. Thanks, dub. In the original, Kiraha then says he allows for Taiki's soft-heartedness in any calculations that he makes, so it's fine. And Nene says that she's going to translate for him, and that's Kiraha saying that Taiki doesn't have to worry about it.
I like this because it means that Taiki has to learn nothing because everyone forgave him immediately. Also, did it strike you immediately that this whole place looks like a game board? And that means, it's going to play into Yu's whole delusions about how everything's a game?
Yeah, well that makes sense, because to you this is a game.
To me? What have I done?
No, stop. I'm just going to say Ewan now, even though I don't like that name.
Good. I'm glad I've ruined Digimon for you.
Don't know why it's Ewan. Anyway... In the dub, Christopher says that even when Mikey doesn't land on his feet, it seems to work out for him anyway, which is straightforward and not, slightly aggressive like it was in the original, but I kind of do prefer the way that he says in the original because it's more, it is his character to sort of say, an almost indirect compliment. I don't know. I dig it. Taiki is sad because he says in the end Nene and Kiraha will write about Apollomon. And
not technically.
Yeah, and they sort of just say, oh no, that's really not really the case because, he's actually a good guy, just has an evil part of him. Also,
I like how the Monotamon, who are, by the way, my favourite thing in this entire show.
Definitely. It's like
they're already up in the castle.
They're Bokumon and Nene. Bokumon and Nene. Bokumon and Nenemon.
Who?
Bookmon and Stretch. Frontier.
Oh, yes. I love them.
Remember the only good parts about Frontier? The characters that I thought you'd hate?
Yes.
Same with... I thought you would hate Monotamon, to be honest, but they are so charming.
I love them. They're so pure. And so was Bookmon, because he was the best mom.
Yeah. Have you been watching the Digimon data collection? Because that's the
I don't
best
know why
part.
You would ask me any question that starts with, have you been watching Digimon, and then goes anywhere.
Well, this has Monotamon involved. It's just Monotamon saying dumb things, like Flamejamon saying, his belly looks strange.
The answer is I do see them occasionally, and I'll see there's a Monotamon dressed up as a Japanese schoolgirl. Where did that come from?
Oh yeah, they're great. But yeah, Monotamon are just they're the best. I love them. They're my best friends. But yeah, so they go to the evil castle. I'm pretty sure they just sort of...
No, they go to the good castle.
Well, the evil-looking castle. I forgot how this episode went.
All castles are evil-looking. That's why they build them that way.
Yeah, good point. So I'm pretty sure the original, the Monotamon, just sort of go there. But in the dub, and I'm not sure if this was in the original as well, I don't remember it, but Nene suggests that their walkie-talkies don't work because they're underground, so they need to have Monotamon patrol the area and investigate things, and sort of that they're signing off in the distance. So Nene actually sort of tells the Monotamon to do this, and I'm pretty sure in the original they just sort of are there.
They definitely are just there in the original. And it's interesting that she thinks that's the case, but then it turns out the communications are intentionally blocked to make the game work.
Which I kind of like that. I kind of like how they added another level of, the walkie-talkies that the writers have forgotten about?
Now you can't use them so that we could continue to the story as though they're not there.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure that we haven't seen them for a long time, actually. I don't think we've seen them in part 2 of Cross Wars.
Also, don't give them the dignity of calling them walkie-talkies. They're wristers.
No, that's the original name. I think they're called squawkers in the dub.
No, they're wristers.
No, they're wristers in the original. In the dub, they're squawkers.
Also, why did the bad guys go about blocking communications when they don't know it exists? They don't have them themselves.
It's because they're underground. Have you ever been in a shopping centre and tried to use the phone at all in the parking place?
Okay, yeah, that's how mobile phones work, because they have to go out to a tower and then to beam stuff up to the sky, then back down and to you. So it has to go through a lot of stuff. Walkie-talkies, like these things, wristers, are local. They beam one to the next one.
I don't think
being
so,
underground wouldn't hurt that at all.
In previous episodes, we've seen them been working from very far away, so I think they may
Well, it is
work
magic,
more mobiles.
but who put the satellite in the air to make it work?
Good point. I'm just saying that maybe the dub writers also said, okay, we have to assume that they're like phones. But I do like how they addressed it in the dub, at least.
Maybe the dub writers are idiots.
Shoutmon is really happy because he gets to sit on a throne, and, like, it's clearly a trap, but apparently it's not. Yu appears, but it's an illusion.
No, can we don't skip over that. That was the most Shoutmon thing in the world.
Oh yeah,
I was
great.
immediately like, oh look, a character doing what a character would do.
Oh yeah, he does the thing that the writers have probably forgotten about. He wants to be king, remember?
Yeah, it's kind of like this charming thing, but also it sort of speaks to that problem he has inside of being like really obsessed with this. And it occurs to me we have like 6 episodes left to explore this when we haven't even started.
Yeah.
There's a whole character arc here they could have drawn out and made really interesting, and that they've just decided we don't care.
Yeah. I get
but
it.
we'll remind you of it so that you're sad.
Yeah. So what the field they're in is called Hellfield, and there are 2 castles. There's one for Crossheart and one for Team Twilight, and each has a crystal for communication. Meanwhile, Blastmon, Lilithmon, and Vilemon are watching, and Blastmon says that he can't stand Last Battle vibes as they give him the heebie-jeebies, and Blastmon continues to be like one of my favourite characters in this season besides Sparrowmon and Monitormon, because he's just so good. I love him so much. And then, and this scene, I'm sorry, did not survive in the dub, Lilithmon says how excited she's getting and she starts groping at her breasts aggressively. That's not in the dub. What happens in the dub is that Vilemon are sneaking off, and Lilithmon, because she grabs them in the original, she grabs them and pulls them away because she wants them there, and they're leaving because they don't want to be manipulated. In the dub, they say they'll sneak off before Lailamon shows up, and then it's implied that they just left.
See ya.
They just left because the clip of Lilithmon stopping them and then grabbing at her breasts aggressively is cut.
And because obviously they're not going to show you all of that stuff later when they edit over it.
Yeah, and then they randomly show up to save her when she's dying in the lava.
And then they instantly die, don't they?
Yeah, which it's just that is they being there stays, which is weird because they leave here, but it's also I'm not sure if the dub wants to keep them in the evolution or not, because they're edited away from her breasts and groin, but the wings, I'm not sure if this was a mistake, but the wings are still there on her bum. They're the Vilemon wings.
Well, stupid children aren't going to notice that.
Yeah, so,
I mean, you did, but the average one wouldn't.
Yeah, well, I'm not a stupid child, I'm just a child.
Anyway.
Yeah, so then back to you. You says that they will fight until one of them dies, and Taiki says that Yu's not realizing that if Yu dies, he will die, like actually die. And the thing is, and what I like about Taiki is that he is more concerned about Yu dying than himself dying, because obviously, yeah, he will die too, but his major concern at the moment is Yu dying, not his own death.
He's kind of dumb that way, isn't he?
Yeah, I love him though. That's the point of him. Kirihara accepts for them, and he says that he will give Team Crossheart the orders. And in the dub, he's just really awful in this scene.
He's always awful. This is awful in the Japanese too, because it's sort of he's learned nothing.
He's more reasonable in the original. He's just like, no, it's fine. I will give the orders. I will help out. Taiki, you lead us, and I will, give the orders from the behind. Like that. I dig it. Dark Knightmon explains how the field works and how there are spikes made from the world's strongest metal. And what stranges me out about this is
it Chrome Digizoid?
It's not called Chrome Digizoid.
Why isn't it called Chrome Digizoid?
That's something that's been in every season except for this one where they just say it's the world's strongest metal. No name of Chrome Digizoid is given, which is strange because I was kind of digging the fact that they were always referencing, like, Digital Worlds are different except for Chrome Digizoid, apparently. In the dub, it's just called Cold Steel, and it turns out it's just going to be an army versus army war. And then I say, hey, we skipped the Cross 5 animation because it's real time for plot. Turns out that we didn't see the Cross 5 animation because Nene was doing this cross. I dig it. I totally dig it. Because I was like, okay, yeah, we're just skipping the animation because it's plot time. No, we're skipping it because we don't want to show you that it was Nene doing the cross. Big fan of that. So
I wish they had said a little bit more about, like, obviously Taiki's here, etc., like, have the bad guys establish what they believe is happening, which it should be obvious to the viewers, like, oh, that makes sense, so that when it's revealed, it's more of a trick. Also, was this cross 4 the whole time? I don't remember.
Well, you can cross open at any time.
No, so the answer is this was cross 5 when this fight is happening?
Well, it can fly, so I'm assuming so.
Okay, because I remember looking back briefly at the bit where Axe Nightmon like brings up the body to Nene, and I'm like, that looks different. It doesn't have bits that I would expect Cross 5 to have. But at the same time, I don't. It would have been really funny, because it would have been such a great bit if during the fight, Cross 5 said, "Yaha, I transformed to Cross 5," and the bad guys just believe him because.
Yeah.
They don't know exactly what he looks like.
No, I'm just pretty sure it was Cross 5 because it was flying and Cross 4 can't fly.
Because that would have explained why when he's fighting, he goes, this was, I knew I'd beat you, but I thought it'd be slightly harder than this.
Yeah.
And the implication, I thought, was... Oh, I don't know. I thought the implication was like, the place that they're in, and they sort of hid that well. And it makes sense in hindsight, Taiki wasn't there. But Taiki shouldn't have to be there. It would have been really funny if it was Cross 4 the whole time. It wouldn't have made a lot of sense, but it would have been funny.
I like it, though. I like the fact that they actually use some form of tactics, which is what Cross Wars is about for me. Anyway, so Lilithmon has become that fused version with the Vilemon, in the dub, obviously without the Vilemon, and they're saying how Lilithmon has this different aura, and she just really loves this place, apparently. She's having a great day. Meanwhile, Wisemon says that this is Bargramon's hell, where evil has power, and it's different from the human hell, where evil is punished. In the dub, he just says that it's a different world from the above world, because evil has more power here, instead of him just comparing it to the real world hell.
It's just like, and evil will always win, because good is dumb.
No.
Sorry.
Wisemon, he's an evil-looking dude, though.
I mean,
like him.
If you want to make a joke here, it's probably not. Anyway,
Don't.
He's not that evil. You know what? I know, because it's the Japanese. They clearly resisted the temptation to give him big lips, and I appreciate that.
What do you mean?
Like Mr. Popo from Dragon Ball Z and Jinx from Pokemon.
Oh, like a
these
Gango
characters
girl?
who have these characters who have the all black face. They do this thing where they give them the lips, and you're like, oh, please don't do that.
I think it's because it's meant to be the Ganguro girl. I mean, because I know that's what Jinx is meant to be.
Maybe. I'll take your word for it,
I
but
feel like it's different. I feel like he's just a ghosty thing. I don't know, I love him. Anyway, so Kirahara is on Cyberdragon, and Whispered shoots him down and says that he hopes Setmon doesn't mind serving him now because he's evil, and Setmon says he always thought that he could use more violence.
It's the lamest thing in the world. It's like, alright, what if now that things are different, how about we're cool, right? It's like, oh yeah. I don't even know why we're even showing this.
I was evil the entire time. Cool. Anyway, so then we see
Was that a wrestling? Is it a wrestling reference?
Yes, it is. Oh no, it turns out I was evil the whole time. That is awesome. Because
nice.
that's basically what happens. It's just oh yeah, that's right. Apolymon had all these nice Digimon that were his working for him. No, turns out they wanted him to be evil the entire time.
I mean, when your fists are dogs, what are you gonna do?
I can't believe how dumb that Setmon cross was. It's not as bad as Cyberdramon and Metal Greymon, which is just hey, let's just put this cannon on the face, okay?
It is the worst looking Digimon I've ever seen, and I've seen some garbage.
Yeah, literal garbage. There's some Digimon that are just garbage.
And you know what? They were better. They were better when they were garbage.
Yeah. Because, the thing with Cross Wars is just, sometimes they just don't look like they should cross, but they do anyway. Greatest Cutemon is still the best thing I've ever seen, though. I wish that came back.
Oh, no, I like just the head flying off.
It's adorable.
Yeah!
Yu's talking to Suamon and saying that he should fight, and Suamon says no. And Yu says, don't worry, even if I die, I'll be fine. It'll be fine because nobody in this world dies because it's a perfect world. Then we have some... Oh, by the way, we're about to meet my OTP. It is, in fact, Beelzemon and Mervamon. That is my OTP forever, and I will die for it.
I guess. If you insist.
This is my my OTP of Cross Wars that I've been, I believe, talking about since we started the podcast. I feel very early on I said, hey, my Digimon OTP is actually in Cross Wars, and you were like, oh, I guess we'll see in 5 years.
Having watched it, it's really unimpressive.
Yeah, actually my memory of it, for some reason, it lasted a lot longer in my memory, it was this ongoing thing. Apparently, no. Apparently, it's over the span of 3 episodes. I'm not sure why I shipped them so hard. They're still my OTP. I just feel I don't know. I remember this going for longer. I remember it being a whole thing instead of just being put out in this episode. So yeah, Beelzemon protects Mervamon, and Mervamon's all like, oh, Beelzemon. It's very romantic. Meanwhile, Whispered and Kirihara are fighting, and Whispered says that when Kirihara's plan doesn't work, he'll just run away, and Kirihara says he won't. Then Yu is noticing that the flow of power is uneven, and Crossheart's stronger than he thought. Then male Bergermon shows up with Taiki, and Taiki explains that Kirihara gave him his Digimon and told Taiki to stop Yu and his misconceptions. Then in the dub, when we're given like sort of the flashback to a bit that we didn't see because it was meant to be a surprise for us, there's something weird about Christopher's voice because it's not fitting the mouth flaps.
But never does.
Yeah, but they're doing, like, this was a problem that I noticed in very early Digimon and, like, Adventure, is that quite often they would put more words into that was physically possible for the mouth flaps. I feel like whenever TK spoke in the original, in Adventure, in the dub, it was always, my name's TK, blah, 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 and in the original it might just be, I'm TK and I'm 8. But in the dub, it was just like this long thing. I'm TK, I'm 8, and my brother's Matt, and I have blah, 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 blah. I'm a child, blah, 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 blah. I hate devils and Devimon, rah. That was a huge problem. And the same happened for Kari in Adventure, where in the original she was quite quiet. She's like, I'm Hikari, I'm a little bit mature for my age, but that's fine. And then I was like, I'm Kari. I cried about it. A friend I knew for one day that died in front of me. And I also like cats, and my brother is Tai. And that's basically how it works in the dub, is they just put way too many words. It does not fit.
Let me tell you about the cats. I honestly don't remember her saying that she likes cats in advance, but I know she has one.
They had a cat. I'm not sure. Miko, I think the name was. Anyway, it was something I noticed.
Best character in Adventure.
Yeah. No, Mimi's still the best character in Adventure. And Tai. So it turns out that Nene made Cross 5 to confuse them, so that's why we didn't see the animation before. And then we get an animation of Taiki making Metal Greymon. Kirihara is really hurt, but he's cheering for Taiki. And then Yu has a sword for some reason, and he cut Taichi with it, and Yu says he can't lose. So then, Whispered shows up to Taiki and Yu.
You can't just skip over the fact that a child tried to murder him with a sword. I'm like, oh, she's gotta have something to say about this. And you're like, nah, he just tried to murder him with the sword, it's fine.
Okay, well, I did
Some
dig
people
it.
do.
Like, I dig it. Like, he's actually trying to do something that's killing a child. Even though he's not a Digimon, I still... Yeah, it is cool, and you're right, we should talk about it a bit. It's a pretty cool moment.
It's frightening. I'm not sure cool is the right word. He tries to kill him with a sword. But also, he's like, how old is you?
Yu, I want to say, is like maybe 10?
Yeah, you think you couldn't take a 10-year-old with a sword?
I think he's only like maybe 2 years younger than Taiki.
I'll find it. When I was 10, I could fight an 8-year-old with a sword. When I was 12, I could fight a 10-year-old with a sword. You grow a lot in those 2 years.
Baby Toma was bullied by people 2 years older than him.
Exactly.
So yeah.
It's easy. You just kick them.
Yeah.
You can't swing a sword that far. Swords are heavy.
I don't know why he looks like he's about 6 when he's only a couple years younger. Maybe 2, maybe even 1. He's not that much younger. Anyway, so Whispered shows up and is watching Taiki and Yu's fight, and Whispered says that Kirihara's down and Cross 5's being pushed into lava.
This is the worst part of the episode, by the way.
No, the worst part of the episode is in the dub, where the past 3 or so times Whispered has shown up, a character, and this is the most annoying thing ever, says Apollomon, or should I say Whispered, and it happens every time he shows up to somebody new. It is so annoying.
But the actual worst thing about this, I know, the thing that makes me the maddest is that the bad guy has every opportunity right now to just be like, oh, there's children's sword fighting, but I could just step in and win the entire fight right now, but I will choose not to, for no good reason. It's not like Apollomon has any actual loyalty towards anyone involved.
Yeah.
So why doesn't he just go and step on Taiki so it dies?
That's true.
Yes, I agree.
Anyway, so Mervamon and Beelzemon are together, and Mervamon says that he's actually really soft-hearted, and then Lilithmon is overhearing this, and I guess she's jealous because she likes Beelzemon or something, and this is when I noticed that the dub still has Vilemon's wings on her hips, and I'm pretty sure this is just an animation error. I don't think they're meant to be there.
I don't think that matters, though. Like, it could just be part of her design, because Lilithmon sort of had a wing bit to her anyway, didn't she?
No, they're Vilemon's wings, though. Like, they're just the most Vilemon's wings, and I don't remember them being there.
No, look at Lilithmon. Every version of Lilithmon has, like, 4 wings.
No, they're on her bum.
Yeah, I know, but, I mean, there's 2 that come out of her, like, waist or whatever normally. Honestly, this is very normal.
No, they are new to that cross because they're usually coming out of because there's a Valmon face on her crotch, and then there's like the
no, I know
wings
it's different
coming out of her
here,
hips.
But if you just look at this one, the wings are there, and that's before the cross. That's
I
normal.
I would not ever recommend googling the Lilithmon on any form of images site ever. Oh no,
Why?
they're still there in the dub, but they're not there in the they're not there in her original version. Unless that's just
Every
a screenshot
single
from the
version
front.
I have seen, every single one has this.
No. The original one doesn't.
Look at the one I just posted to you.
No, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about actual small green wings that she has. She has like hang on, I just saved a photo.
Oh,
I'll
I
send it
see.
to
The
you.
little tiny hip wings. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
the hip wings. Yeah, I don't think they're meant to be there in the dub because Vilemon's not part of that cross.
Look, well, you're probably correct. It also, like, those wings are so thematically in line with the other ones.
Yeah.
The
I
only
mean,
thing that's
she's
wrong with them is the
that.
color.
Yeah, but
Actually,
no,
the edited
yeah.
version is right next to that, and it looks fine. It doesn't even stand out. The only reason you notice is you were looking for it.
I wasn't actually. They just sort of caught my eye that time. Anyway, so this is where the Valemon mentioned. This is when Valemon show up, and I don't think they do in the dub. But Valemon show up, and they say that Lilithmon can't keep a boyfriend, and she gets really mad.
She's really angry
Yeah.
about it. So then that sort of brings in your implication that she's actually into Beelzemon, and she just
Yeah.
like won't admit it.
Which is a weird thing that they bring in now, but I guess they also brought in Mervamon, also liking Beelzemon. I mean, the dude's pretty cool. He's got shotguns, and he's Bottomon, apparently. That's a throwback. So, Whispered tells you to finish the fight, and you licks his lips in a really, really creepy, hey dude, you're like 11, please don't do that kind of way. Hey, yeah, it's really creepy. Metal Greymon's watching, and says that Taiki won't be able to kill you, and you saying how he hates living things because they die, and he doesn't want to hurt anyone because he once killed a butterfly and thinks he's really strong because he killed a butterfly, apparently.
I really hate this character trait that he's suddenly got going on.
Yeah, so it turns out that he just hates the real world because he actually is kind of like... What
He's
I got from
too
this,
buff.
I
He's
think-
too strong.
I think I might have misunderstood what is happening here, but how I read this scene is he is saying, I really like fighting, I really like hurting people, but I don't want them to die. And that's how I read the scene. But then we have Taiki saying, oh, he's actually a really nice person. And I'm just like, dude, he just said he wants to hurt people. Yes, he doesn't want to kill them, but he wants to hurt them. Like, that's not good.
I sort of read it as very similar, but like, I'm so strong and buff that I always hurt people just in the process of being around, so I've had to be really reserved my entire life.
He's
And
like
now
a
that I'm
tiny
here,
11-year-old.
I don't need to be really reserved anymore, and I can be myself, and that just so happens to hurt people, and it's really freeing, so I'm not going to give it up.
Yeah.
That's
like, I
how
can
I
get
read
that.
it.
But also it makes no sense that he's a tiny child, like,
I agree.
yeah.
He's 10. This fits like a 16 to 20-year-old could totally have this story.
Yeah.
But a 10-year-old can't have this story because, like, he's not been conscious enough time, and he's not nearly buff and giant enough for this story. And the only
Yeah.
example they could ever show was the fact that he killed a butterfly, which is a bit
A
sad.
butterfly, yeah. It's sad, but like it's a butterfly, not like a person. So Yu says that he likes this world because in this world he can play with his friends and hurt them and they'll be fine. Which is, yeah, not a nice thing. Like, that doesn't sound good. Like,
Well, it
I
makes
know-
sense from like a video game perspective where you're like, oh, you can shoot people and they don't actually die, but you get to have that. But
Yeah.
because he knows there are physical sensations, he exists in the world, you can't really have both.
yeah. I guess what he says here makes more sense in terms of your interpretation, which is him saying that him hurting his friends is the inevitable. And the way I read this scene is that he wants to hurt them, not that he's going to hurt them. Like, yeah, so yeah, the way you've heard it seems to be more of like it being inevitable, and that sort of makes more sense because Taiki just says, oh, Yu's really kind. Because my version was just like, the way I interpret the scene was just like, no, he's not kind at all, he wants to hurt people. Like, he's a bit sadistic. He's like the sadistic 10-year-old. I hate him. But yeah, I like your interpretation better, but it does make no sense that he thinks he's this buff monster.
Like,
I guess, like, maybe I'm not sure because I was not a 10-year-old boy, but do, like, 10-year-old boys, like, say, oh, I'm so strong because I'm a boy. Like, do they have this?
I couldn't even tell you. I don't remember anymore. I was pretty young. I was like 10.
Yeah, like... Sometimes I like characters in Digimon because they are realistic, but Yu is not realistic.
Wait, characters in Digimon are meant to be realistic?
Well, in Atmon they were, and in
Really? This
Tamers.
pink hair? I'm an idol at
Oh no, I
age
meant
12?
like personality wise. Like I will always like a realistic character in Digimon. Like Mimi's pretty realistic. Like everyone's like, "Hey, you're a narcissist," and she's just like, "No, shut up, put on this dress." No, that's not what happened. She was really upset by it. But no, and I think that Mimi was really realistic, and it's not all the Digimon characters, sure, but you is
Not
not
all
being
Digimon.
realistic. Taiki just has like chronic protagonist syndrome. I have to help people, but it hurts me. Oh, I'll do it anyway.
It does seem like he's in a lot of pain as a result. Even
And
though, yeah.
Yeah, I think Taichi is also realistic, like Taichi in Adventure, because he's just kind of like a bit of a selfish kid who thinks it's a game, and then he realizes it's not, and he has a freak out, like, and then actually is one of the only ones to have any form of PTSD after all the damage and after all the death that he saw as a child. Everyone else seems to have forgotten things except in Tri, when Taichi's just like, oh god, everything's gonna happen, and then he forgets about it, so it's fine.
And also that one scene in season 2.
Oh, the only good scene in 02 that we mention every couple of episodes.
The only good scene.
Yeah, that's so sad. Who would you say is the most realistic Digimon character? Gilmon? Like spread.
Joe.
Oh yeah, because he's actually just like, hey guys,
Joe is just
this-
like a person I feel like I would know.
yeah, he is very, very, yeah, because in the first season, everyone's just like, yay, adventure, he's just like, guys, big monster, big mountain,
He's a
wanting
big
to kill us.
coward and he wants to study hard. He's just a normal person who isn't
Yeah.
on board for an adventure.
Like, he's an average Joe.
Hey! Take that, all you other Joes.
I feel like there are more realistic characters.
Why is
during-
but realism isn't really what you're looking for in a shonen series. It's not the point.
No, you want characters you relate to.
Yes.
Like Deku's really relatable in not Hunter x Hunter, in
My Hero Academia.
My Hero Academia.
Sorry, Macadamia.
Too many shonens with green-haired characters.
There's only 2, but okay.
Hunter x Hunter, Atmon, My Hero Academia.
I guess that one's a shonen. Doesn't really feel
yeah.
like it.
Yeah, so I think there's not that many realistic Digimon characters, but Yu is like the least like realistic.
He's the
To
most
me.
garbageist.
Like, I like Nene. She gets to cosplay.
And sometimes she does the nene.
And sometimes she has a Sparrowmon. That's why she's relatable, because I would like a Sparrowmon.
That Digimon is trash and you should feel trash for liking it.
She's a bird plane.
It's a flying banana.
Oh. Anyway, so Metal Greymon's watching you and Taiki fight, and Metal Greymon's saying that Taiki won't be able to kill you, and yeah, you is basically saying, I want to hurt things, and it's awful, and Taiki's like, oh, he's kind. Then, meanwhile, Dark Knightmon tells Nene how she basically only helped grow the crossloader for you, and she was basically being used. And then it turns out Dark Knightmon stepping on Cross 4, and then that means they crossed opened at some point, and Sparrowmon is able to attack, and then they make Cross 5, and Cross 5 says they work because they have bonds, which I'm pretty sure is said like at least once in every season of Digimon, like 100%.
Did you know that friendship is going to power us up? Because the power of friendship. It's a shonen show. Please just die already, Mr. Bad Guy.
Yeah, like, we're having friendship. How can the bad guy not be dead when we have friendship? Beelzemon tells Mervamon that they have to fight through, and Mervamon asks if he's going on his own, and Beelzemon says he has to because of what Lilithmon did to his home.
And it's like, oh, right. He has like a backstory and motivation, kind of. He doesn't really mention it since the episode where it first came up, but you know, close enough.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Lilithmon and Beelzemon have seen each other since, right? Like,
You know what? I don't know. I feel like she's been in the castle doing nothing for a long time.
No, she did show up and cross with Vilemon and Blastmon like maybe 10 episodes ago, but I feel like they've fought before, and it's weird that Beelzemon's only remembering all this backstory now. So Mervamon goes to Nene and Cross 5 and tells Nene to go to you. So Mervamon and Cross 5 are going to fight together now. Meanwhile, Whispered mentions he doesn't have control over his injured arm. In the dub, Apollomon is basically preventing him from controlling it.
He has sealed his arm somehow.
Yeah. And in the original, I got the impression that it was mainly because he'd basically broken it. Because, as we mentioned last episode, the darkest thing in this season is that a Digimon has self-harmed, which is so dark.
But it's kind of implied in the Japanese it's not what happened. Instead, he like performed a magic ritual on it.
No, in the dub, it's like he's preventing him, but I think in the original it's just because it's hurt so badly.
It says he sealed his arm. That's what they say.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. That could just be the Crunchyroll subtitles, because I don't think the version that I have said that.
Alright, fair enough. It is possible that the entire thing is badly written.
Yeah.
It's just like all the Digimon. Is this is the point where Taiki and you just like Taiki beats the hell out of you's sword only?
Yeah, and
you's like, why is he hitting my sword? And then they try to have a boxing match?
Well, I think there's a bit before that when Taika's explaining that he went home once, which, well done, show, for remembering things that you did, and he says that he still had injuries.
Bar.
He said he still had injuries from when he was in the digital world, and he knows that Digimon feel pain too. And then Nene shows up and says that Digimon aren't data, and Taiki's right. And then Yu asks if he really hurt Taiki, and then he wonders if Digimon really die, and Nene tells Yu to go home.
So they just talk to him until he works it out. Like, he doesn't need to see anything. I thought, like, wait, hold on a second. No, Beelzemon gets the mortal injury at the end of this one. I'll talk about that next episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be more complicated than this. All it really took was them to have a little chat. Simple enough.
Takes a bit more than that, though. So Yu tells Suamon to absorb everything, and he says he doesn't want to go home because if he goes home, he has to realise how much harm that he's caused. And he doesn't want that. He says, well, I can't be wrong, because if I'm wrong, that means I've done horrible things. In the dub, he says that Taiki and Nene are just lying to him because they want to win the game and they want him to lose. Which obviously he's trying to convince himself about that. But I don't know why they changed that. Like, I preferred the original saying, actually saying, hey, if I'm wrong, that means I've hurt people.
I disagree. I actually prefer the one where he is convinced that they're lying for the sake of the game. If only because the other conclusion, which is, if I'm wrong, then I've hurt everyone, that makes him an idiot. Because... Yeah. Hedging his bets, that would mean that you should stop doing anything because then, obviously, there's a chance that you're actually hurting people more, right? Stopping now would mitigate the damage rather than committing, which would be like just doing more damage and then that's it.
Yeah.
It seems evident that... I don't know, it's hard. He's 10, so he can make bad decisions, obviously.
Yeah.
But at the same time, his conclusion is dumb, and he's meant to be a genius.
I don't think... When have we ever said that he's meant to be a genius, though?
Because of the way he's, like, seen everything in advance. You're meant to believe this 10-year-old could not only guess exactly where all three of his opponents would go, but also assess the amount of strength they would take and what their purpose was. And then he guessed it perfectly.
Well, the show did such a bad job of telling me that he's meant to be a genius. I didn't even consider that for a second that he was a genius. I just thought he was some average dumb kid.
But if he's an average dumb kid, then they wouldn't be in this position. Because an average dumb kid wouldn't have been... Like, this one average dumb kid almost matched the strategy and pretty much perfectly guessed the strategy of 3 people who were older than him.
Yeah, I guess there's that. I just never considered it because he's just, I don't know, I don't like him. But
that's not a good enough reason to dismiss him as a character.
Yeah. No, but what I'm saying is that, I don't know, I feel like... he's strategic, sure, but you can just have that from playing games. Like, remember, Tomoki was pretty strategic in Frontier, and he was 8. Like, I'm just saying you can be strategic, but not necessarily be a genius. Like, maybe he just plays a lot of games. But you know what? That would have been great if they actually said, oh, he's strategic because he really likes playing, like, Age of Empires or Civ or something. Like,
it's weird they didn't go into any of the games he would normally play to back up why he's specifically good at this.
Like, that would have been good. That would have actually explained a lot. I know I never thought about it because I never do when I'm watching Digimon, but I feel like that would have made his character a lot more believable. When I was talking about him not being realistic earlier, they could have easily made him more realistic by not, like, just adding, like, a couple of minutes here and there of him playing games at home and noticing that he can't hurt anybody in the games, noticing that he's really good at planning things. Maybe put him in, make him play some army simulation games or something and saying, hey, look, I can hurt my friends, I can hurt people in this game, and nobody's actually really hurt or dead or anything.
Or make him watch 20 games of chess at once.
Well, everyone watches.
What?
The line was he can play 20 games of chess at the same time while everyone else watches.
No, the line in English is he can like watch 20 games at once.
No,
Wasn't it?
no, it's play while everyone else.
No, because originally he played 20 at once. That made sense. In the English, they changed it. He's only playing one of them, I think.
I can't remember. I just know that it's yeah.
It was really dumb in the English, and it would make too much sense if he played 20 games at once, because that's what it was meant to be.
Yeah. No, but it was I know it was while everyone else watches in the dub. Anyway, so that was a long time ago. Anyway.
You're not wrong.
So then we have all the generals crossloaders, like the Dark Generals crossloaders. We find out they are all copies from used Darkness Loader. So we actually know where they're from. I believe that you may have asked like a couple of weeks ago where they were all from. Now we know. Shoutmon and Metal Greymon Super Evolve. And Yu now points out that all 7 are there. So they make cross 7. Then Yu notices that Suamon is hurting. And Suamon says that he can't hesitate because if he hesitates, Yu will know that he's hurt. And Suamon cross opens and escapes. Whispered is watching and he says that he was right to abandon the fight. Taiki then explains what he's been missing about Yu and what Yu's personality really is like. And then, yep.
I was going to say, they've really established that he's really like hard into... What's this hell mode? I meant to ask about that. What... I know it's combining everything in, but it didn't seem to do anything.
It just looked big.
Also, the idea that, like, I like the thematics of Yu being where Jujumon is and, like, piloting it, which, even though that makes no sense, because obviously he's not controlling it directly. So he's just kind of sitting there in a chair where he's in danger.
Yeah.
And then he's thrown into a wall, and then, like, there's this big spinning attack, and in every case, I'm like, isn't Yu dead now?
No, because
imagine the centrifugal force of like this giant death robot spinning at high speeds such that it blurs like that.
Yeah.
The amount of force that would put on a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
He's dead is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, well...
The boy is dead.
Yeah, no, that's completely understandable. No, you're right. He should be dead. Anyway, he really should be dead. So, meanwhile, Mervamon's asking where Beelzemon is, and Beelzemon's just sitting there and gives a thumbs up, but he's actually in pain. In the dub, Mervamon's a lot more tsundere for some reason. It turns out that Beelzemon looks like he's dying, and what the viewer can see that the characters can't is that his feathers are actually disintegrating. And then we're left with Suamon and Yu is wondering if Digimon actually hurt. And then, the start of episode 48, Nene flies off on Sparrowmon to find Yu, and Yu is asking Suamon if Taiki is right. And
isn't the very first thing that happens that Cutemon is like healing Beelzemon?
Yeah, that's basically happening to I don't think that happens straight at the start of the episode, but it does happen like in the next scene.
I have that as like the first thing.
Oh, okay. Well, it does happen in like the first couple of minutes.
And the reason I noted it down was like, wasn't the implication at the end of the last one that Beelzemon was like gonna hide his injuries?
Well, he still is hiding it, just not from Cutemon, and Mervamon finds out.
Yeah, but he didn't tell Cutemon on screen to not tell anybody, so it is implied that everyone knows about it now. And
except that it is said later on in the episode that Taiki sort of only assumed that something was wrong.
But we know that something's wrong because Cutemon latches onto him like a big fat pink bandage. It's like, I'm gonna heal him while he fights.
Yeah, but we're meant to pretend that that's not obvious.
It's really obvious.
It's really obvious. Like, why else would you have the adorable... Maybe he just wants the adorable thing, yeah?
It is adorable.
It's so
Can't
adorable.
argue with that.
Like, I love Cutemon. Like, another one of my favourite characters in this season. Just because, like, yeah, he's cute. That's kind of his deal.
It's literally his name.
Mervamon sees if Beelzemon's okay, and Beelzemon's explaining how he'd do anything because Taiki gave his life to him, basically. But he says he's glad that Mervamon's worried about him, and Mervamon hits him and then asks if he's okay because she hits him straight on the wound. And Shoutmon and Cutemon are watching, and they're confused because relationships, I guess. Lilithmon is in the lava, and Valmon pull her out and they die, and Lilithmon seems almost sad for a second, because she says something along the lines of, in the end they gave their life to save me. And she's having emotions, basically. In the dub, it's weird that they showed up randomly again, because, they tried to escape and they didn't want to be around Leilamon, and also... Two, it's horrible because Leilamon says, thanks somebody for deleting them. Like, oh, thank you finally gotten rid of them. So I'm not sure if it's implied that someone killed them for her.
Maybe.
Also, the worst part is that in the dub, Lilithmon mentions that they're lying in mud. It's lava.
Well,
that's why they died. That's why she doesn't want to be there anymore. That's why part of her is gone. It's lava. It melted.
It is a weird
her.
shade of red for lava. It could be very hot blood.
Yeah, that too.
So the thing, there's definitely a bad part of the Crunchyroll dub here. I wonder what it said in yours. I assume that the term "the three generals" is like a single Japanese word that I can't hear in the middle of the sentence, so that
I
when
don't
they
even know. I read
so,
this in your notes and I have no idea what you're talking about.
so when they say it, it's probably like a title. But what happens in the dub that I watched is they go, "All
You
right,
mean, wait, you
we
mean
will."
sub, right?
Sorry, the subtitles I watched was like, "All right, we will now fuse the three generals," and I'm like, "Okay, Lilithmon and Blastmon are there." Tactimon is super dead, and I
No,
thought for a
no,
moment,
no, Tactimon's there. Tactimon's just not there.
"What?
Tactimon's, wait, what happened to Tactimon?
He died?"
Did he?
Pretty sure. Hold on.
I just think he's just not there at the moment.
What do you mean? Didn't he super die? Wasn't that the thing that happened in the season one?
Maybe?
Well, I can look this up.
Let's just say it's. We'll look. We'll find out one day. I'll write it down. And we'll talk about it when we finish the whole of Cross Wars. But yeah, so I don't even know where Tactimon is. He sure is not in this scene. But no, I think that the Crunchyroll subtitles might be incorrect in this case. So yeah, I want to also point out that the place that they are called is called the Red Sea of Death, as being the lava, and this all dries up when Whispered fuses Blastmon and Lilithmon.
Okay, so apparently it's right after Taiki and everyone get back to the digital world when Shoutmon evolves to Omni Shoutmon for the first time. He kills Tactimon forever.
You're right. Tactimon came to the real world.
That's when worlds collide. Apparently.
Yes, that's when they. Yeah, you're right. Okay, that's
yes,
when he died.
He is hella dead.
Well, I just forgot, I guess.
Wow,
Anyway.
what a great season this has been. Even you don't remember that
Yeah.
one of the big bad guys died.
Yeah, for some reason I thought he was still there. I guess it's because I get Tactimon and Bargramon confused.
I thought it was like is Sumon part Tactimon or something?
No,
it's not.
no. Anyway.
So in my bit they say the three generals are going to fuse now. And I'm like, what is happening?
That's weird. So Lilithmon says that she only trusts Blastmon and Suamon, and you and Damimon, meanwhile, want to find Apollymon so they can go back and heal Damimon's wounds. And then this is when the Red Sea of Death, which is the lava, is dried up. Then Mervamon finds you, and you says he doesn't want to go back home, and again, it's because he doesn't want to realize how much hurt that he's caused.
You can't say that out loud. It just means he knows already.
Yeah, which is different from the dub. Dark Knightmon takes you, and Taiki says he's ready to Digicross. Whispered wants to rule alone without Bugramon. And then we get to see the fusion that were just made with Lilithmon, and it's just Neon Genesis Evangelimon.
No, it's just the dude from what's his name, Alphamon? No. Who's the guy from the end of Adventure?
Oh, Pokemon. No, I'm talking about I'm talking about the precise animation that happens when it's just like the giant long-limbed lady like just merging out of the sky with all the planets around her. It is so End of Evangelion, it hurts.
I've never saw that movie, actually.
Well, you've seen an effect, but yeah.
Sure, but her design is a Pokemon, which is a person on top of a big spike ball.
Yeah, I'm talking about like the whole aesthetic of what's happening in the animation is very End of Evangelion, but yeah, you're right, a Pokemon, that's fine too. So, turns out she's absorbing all of hell, and then Yu says that they've lost, and Dark Knightmon says that they'll escape anyway. Beelzemon shoots at Lilithmon, and Lilithmon says that she doesn't want Beelzemon to die yet because she wants to torment him. And then we get a split-screen super evolution, and they fight like Omega Shoutmon and Zeke Greymon, who I always will forget his name. Wisemon says that he decrypted the rose on Taiki's chest, and he says that the castles are part of a program, and if they're destroyed, they won't be able to return.
This is really dumb, but okay.
Yeah.
It's sort of I will accept your very last-minute explanation so that there can be any tension whatsoever, even though it's obviously dumb.
And he also says that in order to get back to the surface, one of the people who have the rose has to die. In the dub, he says that they need the end data, and he says that the odds are 50-50. He doesn't say what the bad 50 is, he just says the odds are 50-50 because we don't want to talk about children dying.
Well, in the Japanese they tell you no odds. They're just like...
Yeah, the original just says, oh, he has to die.
No, it says there needs some death energy, so I'm going to do something, but there's a risk. And then, instead of asking what risk, Taiki goes, let's do it.
Yeah, because he's Taiki. That's an explanation. That's just his character.
That's it.
Taiki wants Wisemon to rewrite it. Beelzemon, Mervamon, and Cutemon are a team because Beelzemon needs the healing, and yeah, it's super obvious that something's wrong with him. We get a great cross, but it's very quickly animated this time. I just noticed it was very, it was faster. Usually the great cross takes a bit of time. This was very, the way it was cut together just made it seem quicker.
Well, so they couldn't attack him while he's evolving to stop him, obviously.
Why don't they ever do that? Except for one time it happened. Yu realizes that he has to die to get home, just as Wisemon's explaining to Taiki that it needs the data on Taiki's death. And Wisemon attacks Taiki in a way to inverse his life data. Lilithmon attacks and Beelzemon protects Mervamon. Taiki collapses and the gate to the surface opens. Yu wonders if Taiki is dead because of him. Cross 7 attacks Lilithmon and Beelzemon does too.
Well, specifically Yu's his chest rose thing goes away and he goes, oh, if I won, what does that mean? Somebody's dead.
Yeah.
And so, to take a step back here, I was convinced that Beelzemon clearly going to die in this episode would be the trigger that made you realize, because he'd see everyone's reactions to a Digimon dying, right?
Yeah.
A Digimon that, there's kind of a connection to, so you get something really legit out of them, and he sees it and he goes, they wouldn't be acting this way, right? They couldn't lie this way. That sort of seemed like an emotional way to see off a character and have their death mean something. Instead we have this, which is not terrible, but very contrived, and certainly not as good, I don't think. And Beelzemon's death is kind of worthless at the end.
I like it. I mean, I don't like it, but it hurts.
She wasn't really chasing any of them. It didn't look like she had the capability to stop them from leaving, because it's not like she was that distracted by him attacking her. Which means, if he had left at the same time as everyone else, she would have been trapped in there forever, by herself. And Beelzemon's revenge would have been had, but he wouldn't have had to die.
I didn't even think about that. I guess it's because she was absorbing hell, so maybe if she absorbed hell, something would happen to the surface. I'm not sure. But no, I see your point. But it was dramatic. I thought it was fine. So Beelzemon, Mervamon, and Cutemon fly up, and Beelzemon noticed Lilithmon's hatred is going to remain. So Beelzemon says that if the hatred remains, we don't know what will happen. And he says that his life is already over and has been since Taiki regenerated him. And Beelzemon says that he now lives for everyone's future, and says he will die alongside his nemesis, and then so he dies, and he leaves Taiki behind a feather that basically says that he's died, and with a telepathic message on it, apparently, because that's how death feathers work. What do you think of these 3 episodes as someone who's new to Digimon?
Well, I thought they sucked.
Oh.
I appreciate the base concept. I think that the best way you can do this thing where you're trying to put across that, it's all a game for you, is put it in a big game scenario. And the basic things that happened weren't so bad, and the actual kind of strategy put forward, and they all sort of made sense. But then when push comes to shove, everything sort of just falls apart all at once. And I didn't enjoy it particularly. You just have this huge problem where, Whispered is there and could just win, but chooses not to. A 10-year-old has a big sword fight, because that's the thing 10-year-olds can do. And Taiki couldn't just, kick him in the face at any time there, which I would have done. Obviously Beelzemon's sacrifice was pointless. I've never liked a big conclusion which ends with a bad guy who's really giant and dumb, and Digimon loves to do those, and they suck. There's just there was some good things in here. There's nothing, I can't say that there wasn't, but then a lot of it was really bad. I don't like Yu's conclusion and how he got there. I think he's far too self-aware, and he's presented as too intelligent for this to work. If he was presented as a dumb child, then I'd be like, yeah, all right. But he's not.
What you said before is basically Cross Wars in general. Hey, it's got a lot of good stuff, and you can't say that it doesn't have some good stuff. But man, that execution though.
Yeah, complete lack thereof.
Because I feel like Cross Wars does, and I feel like we got a message very early on about the Cross Wars that we had to read in Postmon Pat. I want to say when we're up to 02, and it was said along the lines of, Cross Wars had a lot of good ideas, but it was scared to really branch out beyond those ideas because it didn't want to be too different from Digimon. And I would agree with that. I feel like, yes, it has all these ideas, but it seems like it's almost scared to go through with all the ideas, so it goes with the safe path. Not killing Cutemon's parents.
And that safe path is always the most boring path.
Yeah, and so that's why Cross Wars doesn't deliver sometimes. It has a lot of ideas. Hey, what about if all these armies were fighting? That's really cool. I dig it. What happens if, the chosen children are actually generals of an army? That's cool. I dig it. But I feel like sometimes it doesn't really like, the payoff never is as good as it could be. I feel like they are always, like, a little bit too scared of trying to be something that's better, because if they try, it can be bad if they put effort into it.
But it's already bad from not putting effort into it.
Like,
you can only go up from here.
We could say that Frontier definitely tried, but it was bad. With Cross Wars, it's just like, it's not bad, it's just, I guess, in the middle. Like, it's mediocre. Like, I don't want to say dull or mediocre, because I'm enjoying it. I'm like,
very dull and mediocre. That's perfectly accurate. Throw it under the bus. It deserves it.
And I feel like we've always said, yeah, Cross Wars is very, like, generic. But it shouldn't be. It has, like, this great premise. Like, that's a good premise, right? Armies. Like, that's...
You know, you
pretty
can't just
solid.
say the word armies and say that's good enough. You need to have, like, reasons and stuff. And the problem here is that, yes, they have armies, but because...
They also have leggies.
Funny. If you have... Damn it, you caught me.
Yeah, you can't just say funny and try to sandbag me and then just laugh.
I really tried.
You tried.
You can't have these, like, large forces of lots of people going around when one Digimon that's particularly powerful will always just beat the entire lot of them. The reason that armies work is that they can put out a lot of bullets and stuff, and it doesn't matter how strong you are, enough things will overwhelm you.
Yeah.
In this show, that has never been the case. That's never more clear than that episode where they were fighting Gravimon's actual army, and, like, 2 Digimon would fight 300 and win. There's no point in putting together armies if that's the case. Just fuse from the beginning.
Like, I feel like Cross Wars would actually be better if there was no evolution.
Maybe.
Like, if it was all just tactics and armies, maybe that would get stale. Maybe they couldn't pull 70 episodes out of that. But you can still make friends. You can still, instead of, hey, this is an episode where we get a new evolution, this is an episode where we make a new friend.
Here's a hint, they didn't pull 70 episodes out of it. They still had to throw 25 random ones at the end at nothing.
I still think Young Hunters is fine. Everyone hates it.
I haven't seen it, wouldn't know.
I have a lot of feelings.
But if Cross Wars sucks, Young Hunters is definitely not good.
Well, people say that the best part of Cross Wars is the part that we're watching at the moment. I would probably agree, maybe. But I also did kind of like some of the episodes in Young Hunters because it was just fun. It sort of had that Atmon and Yokai Watch sort of... Hey,
I wouldn't know yet.
Pardon?
I wouldn't know yet. I can't comment.
No, I know, but I'm just explaining that. Remember how in Atmon, and I'm not sure how much you know about Yokai Watch, but what happens is that every episode every part of the game in Yokai Watch's case, because I haven't actually watched the Yokai Watch anime, is that there'll be some problem, and this is in Atmon. So there's some problem. Oh no, what's the problem? Oh, guess what? It's actually caused by a Digimon. That was Young Hunters.
That was exactly Atmon, yeah.
Yeah, Atmon is actually just better Young Hunters. Like, it's Young Hunters, but if instead of, like, making it only 25 episodes long or something, they put plot in Atmon. Like, Atmon has the plot. And that's...
I don't know if I've asked this yet, but does anyone call it Yunters?
No.
Digimon Yunters?
No. Well, the full title is The Young Hunters Who Leapt Through Time.
I think that it should be called Yunters.
I don't know why.
Because portmanteaus are great, and it sounds really silly and bad.
Yeah, it does sound silly and bad.
Yeah, just like Young Hunters.
Fine, we'll call it Yunters.
Yes!
But the problem is, like, I actually kind of liked the fact that... And also, by the way, I just want to also point out, and when we're talking about similarities between Atmon, you know how they go into the place that's kind of like between the digital world and the real world, where the Digimon are misbehaving?
Yes.
That's just in Yunters. Like, 100%, like...
I will kill this fandom one portmanteau at a time.
I just want to point out that I'm not sure if we had not seen Atmon until after Yunters, I wonder if you would have just said Atmon is bad because it's like just Young Hunters again.
We'll see. Can't know that yet.
But I really... Also, imagine if Haru is annoying and just Daisuke 2.0.
I want to die.
Yeah, you won't like...
I'm going to die, I'm going to take everyone with me.
But yeah, it's I'm looking forward to us covering Yunters. I'm excited to see how you feel about it. So how would you rate both these episodes? Well, 3 of the episodes, basically.
It's like a 5, a 4, and a 3, I think. Like,
I gave them all 8s.
Decreasingly good. It just gets worse and worse. All the good stuff is in the first one, and even then, whatever.
Yeah,
it's really contrived.
I would agree that it does, like, the first episode does have some good actual, hey, remember the mechanics we introduced about how armies? Yeah, also this episode.
Don't pretend. You gave the third one a 9, for no reason.
Oh, for some reason, this lasted a long time, and I think it was just the memory and the excitement of getting back to this episode with the OTP, which is really sad that it was only in 3 episodes. For some reason, I thought it was longer than 3 episodes, but whatever. I really like... These episodes are still not as good as the best episode in the season, which is the LostinTranslationmon episode. I will die
It's
for that
all
episode.
downhill from there.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get another episode as good as the LostinTranslationmon episode. That was just a good episode. Also, it was spoopy.
Was it?
I like me some spoop. It was kind of scary. It had spoops. And what about your predictions for Obnoxious Synopsis? Because I'm pretty sure you rated them very lowly in your predictions.
Pretty sure I had no idea what I was talking about or doing.
You didn't mention you thinking about Evangelimon dying, though.
Oh, well, I mean, I knew he would. I mentioned that in my actual speech, though, didn't I?
Yeah, maybe.
The file won't open, so I'm just going to guess. Basically, No, I could never have guessed the Mega Chess. I was just wrong. Let's put it that way. It's easier.
Yeah. As for differences, there weren't that many. I guess the weirdness about Digimon leaving at some point, but then also coming back twice randomly, despite saying that they were leaving and then never showing up again.
That's clearly not it. The big one is Yu's perspective on why he's not convinced. The idea that on one hand he knows that he might have done a bunch of damage, but is actively refusing, versus believing that they are lying to him for the sake of an advantage.
Yeah.
I still think the story is much more interesting if you go with that second one, and then they do something that is counter to his worldview, where they do something that's completely selfless, and you go, "There's no reason they would ever do that if this was a game." That's all you need.
Yeah, but I have nothing else to say. You're right about that was another big difference. But besides that, these episodes, there weren't that many differences. It was maybe because there was nothing really to happen. It was mainly fighting. But yeah, not too many differences. There were no Digimon introduced in these episodes. There might have been background Digimon introduced.
Besides
but there were
Apocalypthmon.
Oh yeah, but who cares? I'm not counting the crosses that just make them slightly bigger and slightly angrier. So we're in the last home stretch of part 2. What are your thoughts?
I don't like this show.
Oh, no.
I regret watching it.
Is it better than Frontier still?
Yes. And what does that tell you?
Better than 02?
You know what? I don't know. I'm not sure it is.
See, I think I might like Cross Wars more than Adventure. Both Adventure 02 and Try. Because it tries something. I feel like Adventure was very I guess it was the beginning, so they didn't really have many places to go.
That's not fair. Adventure is totally new.
I know, but...
It tried everything.
But there are also shows that start off new and they're amazing. Adventure was just kind of okay. I don't know, a lot of the episodes you were so bored and angry to cover when we were covering Adventure. You were just bored all the time.
To be fair, it's because I hadn't gotten used to the malaise that is Digimon all the time. By comparison, I think those episodes are probably better now. But
we guess we have to rewatch them then, I guess.
I will stab myself in the face.
Because I feel like it was only maybe 20 episodes in where you said, hey, this isn't terrible. And I feel like it was maybe Home Away from Home. And then we had Flower Power. And then playing games, but every other episode you're this is boring, this is bad. I think your reaction to Flower Power was, see, look, the writers can actually do something not terrible.
I mean, I know you say that, but think about how all of my reactions to this season have been.
Oh yeah, occasionally...
I think it's boring and bad.
Yeah, but occasionally also, hey, look, the writers do remember how to write.
I mean, all of that stuff existed in Adventure as well. It was just more clear because it didn't really require it to be said as much.
But yeah, that was the episodes, I guess.
Can I go home now? I'm already home, actually. That was kayfabe.
For Postmon Pat, first off, we have a comment on YouTube from Ethan. So Ethan says, I really love your content. Thank you, Ethan. And Digimon in general. So they like Digimon and they like our content, so that's good. And Ethan says that they are going to share it to all the Digimon groups on Facebook, and they hope the channel gets bigger. So I appreciate that. Thank you. It is really nice. I like getting nice messages. They don't all have to be really long. The long messages are good because they incite discussion, but it's nice to have a short you're great. Thank you. Thank you. I hope you have a great day, Ethan.
Sometimes I just like being told that I'm great.
Yeah. Tell us that we're great. Leave an iTunes review, or can you do reviews on Spotify? We found out we can do reviews on whatever Castbox is last time. But yeah, we're on Spotify, so
what
maybe...
the hell is a Castbox?
I think we found that out and we're hey, sorry guy, I'm not sure how long ago you left this message, but alright. At least with YouTube I get notifications. Anyway, Jay will now read the With the Will comments.
So we got one from Wildling64 who says, why is the Sharpmon Cross 7 and not Cross 6? I think the answer is because they have 7 Digimon in him. Is that correct?
Yes.
And cross 5B should be cross 6. That's just the answer. That seems really obvious. And I don't know why they
Yeah.
didn't call him that. I think
I think they might have designed him before they designed all the other ones, so maybe they thought that was going to be the only one. I don't know.
So the answer that I have come to independently is that to get all of the cross numbers, you need every Digimon attached to it. But because you don't need Beelzemon in cross 7, that means he can't be part of cross 6.
Yeah.
Because he's not actually a step in it. So there is
so
no
he
cross
dies.
6. Even though that should be cross 6, it's not, because he would then have to be part of 7, I
Yeah.
think. Anyway, then they say all the component Digimon are Shoutmon, Greymon, Male Birdramon, Darulamon, Ballistamon, Sparamon, and Starmons. That said, Starmons, should be like 10 or 20.
Also, I just realized that...
And there is a cross 6 in the manga.
Yeah, I think I might have mentioned that. But anyway, so with cross 4B and with... I think the other one was cross 4S. With Spartamon, isn't with them anymore and is part of the boat that was a Legmon's, and now we have Beelzemon dead, so whenever we get Shoutmon cross number and then a letter, I guess we know that Digimon might not stay with them. So I'm not sure what happens to Nightmon if something happens to him, but now I'm very concerned.
Wow, what just total doom for everyone involved.
Yeah.
You were a letter, guess you're gonna die.
So if they're not actually part of the cross number, and if they're an additional letter, like cross 4K, cross 4B, cross 4S,
cross 4K TV.
Yeah, times 4K.
Times 4K TV. So they go on to say, for as much as Kiriha vs. Taiki battle was one of the most contrived things that this show's ever come up with, I'm so glad someone said it.
I think everyone's saying it. I think it's just me that's not.
It at least gave us one of the most well-animated fights in the whole series, so I can forgive it for that. Actually, something I was always found funny about Cross Wars, in general, was how inconsistent the animation is throughout the season. So much so that, compared to every other season, it's really easy to tell where all the budget goes. Cough, cough, nay, cough.
Yeah, Nene is
tell
really
because
well
they all get
animated.
really shiny.
In all her evolution scenes, she's got all this sparkle and shine, and it's really nice. And then they go to Kiraha's face, and half of it's in shadow, and his eye looks like it's kind of drifted off to the side. I'm glad that they're actually putting their animation budget in the female character, but man, it makes all the other characters just look garbage.
This will become even more apparent in part 3, especially towards the end where the animation quality is noticeably poor. I hope they pencil draw a bunch of stuff on a big white background.
Now it is end of Evangelimon.
End of X-Ross Gellion. Yeah.
Score. Nailed it.
Dead or Alive at 3.03. Sure, Digimon's animation quality has never exactly been one of its high points, but at least every other iteration of the franchise is consistent in its quality.
Atmon was good.
Atmon was good. Every other thing has been consistent. That's what they say. We are from Chalkmon, who says, the animation quality has been really jarring throughout the series.
Everyone doesn't like the
collude
animation.
on this. Very true. Some episodes feature regular Taiki, as we seen most commonly, and then in other episodes we get high contrast Taiki with sharp outlines. Some episodes offer a very shiny Taiki with solar glare, and some have a very weird flat-faced, cheap, cartoony Taiki, all in the same series. Imagine if they were different characters, and at the end there were 4 Taikis.
Well, let's be real, I'm pretty sure 02 has the same thing where they've got different animators in each episode, and it's very obvious when some of them are in, because I think his name is Takeda or Takedo, but he really likes shadows, so you can always tell when he's directing an episode because there's just shadows everywhere. And the character's face is half in shadow. So I think
is it in the places where there's no light? That'll do it. Is it in the places where there's no light? That'll do it.
No. It's just in all of his episodes, the shadows are very, very high. And I feel like 02 also didn't have the consistent animation quality that other seasons have, but maybe not necessarily quality, but just inconsistency. It's just hey, this episode has this many shadows, this episode has shiny. But no, I get what Chakmon's saying about Taiki being shiny or flat-faced or high contrast.
Well, they actually talk about this. They say there's definitely been varying animation teams on this series. The fight scenes have been very exciting, but the Digimon fighting in them have been anything but. I'm with a J. Very boring designs. A big minus for me for Cross Wars. Yes, I am the smartest. SMRT-ist. Not that it matters, but episode 43's Digimon Data Corner had a Agudimon listed as a wizard type. I thought he was a demon man type.
Yeah.
Again, not that it really matters, as both type and field are confusing at best with Digimon, and very badly managed. And what happened to the Bastmon animation during the evolution to Greatest Cubemon in episode 44 dubbed? I really like the other Digimon getting a screenshot just before the evolution. It was cute, but no Bastmon, probably because she looks too attractive, you know how it go.
Yeah, she's too sexy.
It wasn't really sexualized. Nene's Wendymon outfit was awesome. Doesn't need to be separated by a line break. I thought it was all one sentence. Episode 45, Taiki almost got killed by Greymon's Giga Destroyer. That was big. If anyone is due for a dark evolution, it's Greymon under Kiraha's leadership. But there's only 6 episodes to go, so it's not gonna happen. Alright everybody, join us for the next episode of Major Second, the dorkest dork general of all.
Or Taiki's decision, surpass the strongest Apollomon.
Or Prosenlond.
You mean and Prisonlond.
And Prosenlond.
Or resurrect. Resurrection! The appearance of all 7 death generals.
What? Are they dead?
Yeah, well,
Anyway.
it's the appearance. Well, that's why they're called death generals, and not alive generals.
Right into the Digicare.
Or, for the future of the digital world, the friendship with the death generals.
I'm sorry, what?
That's what it says.
Oh, this show is bad.
But friendship is magic.
Show is bad.
So you can find the link dump linked in the description, and our Redbubble is also linked in the description, and you get more than just shirts there too. You can contact us and stay updated. You can email us at LostinTranslationmon@gmail.com, or you can comment on this episode or message us on SoundCloud. You can follow us on @TranslationMon on Twitter, and you can find us on LostinTranslationmon on Tumblr, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We have a discussion thread on With the Will, and a Reddit thread in the Digimon subreddit, and we would appreciate if you would review us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and any other podcast listening app you use. And we're on Spotify podcasts now. Ratings really assist people finding out about the podcast. And we have a website. Vote in polls, check our release schedule, and check out our blog posts.
And you can donate to our Patreon, which is linked in the description, from as little as $1 a month, which gets you access to our listener Slack chat group. But there are higher levels with more rewards, such as notes, early episodes, and more. And thank you to our Patreon supporters, Sam Krieger, Stevie, who's Stevie Padman on Tumblr, and is currently taking commissions there, Joe, Anime Guy, who's Anime Guy Kurosaki and the #1 on YouTube, Chuckmon, Hiro Olato, who's at FightFengHuang on Twitter, Stephen Reeves, who is WildWing64 on AO3, Kaidawashi, Mac, Chisai, who you can follow at Chisai236 on Tumblr, Kyle, the Lady Bugman, whose anime blog you can read at baguburagu.wordpress.com, Glitchgoat, Matthew, Anthony, who's at AntoClassic on Twitter, Lizmet, who's a Like Mod on Tumblr, Quinn, Sithobi, Megan, Kyliak, Neobu, The Time Op,